In this fourth lesson on the CAGED system, we're going to now turn to scales. Specifically for this lesson, the pentatonic major scale. As you know, all scales are made up of 5 positions up the fretboard. The pentatonic major is no exception. Each position is fixed in relationship to the other positions, so all 5 positions fall in a very specific order. So too with the CAGED system. When you are trying to figure out a chord in the CAGED system, the forms CAGED all fall in that specific order as you work up the fretboard. It doesn't matter which one you start with, they're going to continue in that order. Say you start with E, we go E, D, C, A, G, and then back to E, an octave higher, right? So it is with the scales. All right, so now, that said, each position of the pentatonic major scale has a corresponding relationship to one of the 5 positions of the CAGED system. All right? So, in this lesson, we're going to be dealing with A. We're just going to play A chords up the fretboard using the CAGED system, and we're going to show you the pentatonic major scale as it relates to each of the 5 positions and forms of the CAGED system. All right, so let's just get right to it. It'll make a lot more sense if I just get in and start explaining. All right, here is the first position of the pentatonic major scale on the left. Pretty much easy stuff. You're probably familiar with this. That's fine. Look at this as an opportunity to expand your knowledge. All right. In the middle, you see the A major chord in the E position. So we are in the E form of the CAGED system. Therefore, the pentatonic major's first position, the main form, is compatible with, integrates with the E form of the CAGED system. On the right-hand side of the diagram, you see the chords superimposed or overlaid on top of the pentatonic major scale. And you see the notes all fit as part of the scale. All those notes are in the scale. And that's the idea. All right? Now, here's where you're going to have a little bit of fun. What I want you to do is I want you to record an A chord and some kind of rhythm. All right? Like this. If you have a looper, this is easy. Now, what I want you to do is play the pentatonic major scale in the first position and only the first position over the top of it. Okay, so something like that. Now, what I want you to do beyond this is to not just run up and down, but now experiment, jump around, skip notes, play little bits of the arpeggio of, play the chord, arpeggiate the chord, right? And I'll give you another chord here. It's a major 6. 1, 3, 5, 6. 1, 3, 5, 6. 1, 3, 5, 6, 1, right? That's pretty cool. And then you have the A major, right? You could even do a little bit different here. A little bit of the 6 chord there, right? And but the idea here is jump around. So something like this. The object being to push yourself to look at this position of the scale a little differently. Bearing in mind that you're playing over the E form of the caged system. So we're starting on the fourth form of the CAGED system, okay? Do this for a few minutes. Really experiment and have fun with it. All right, so pause the video, go at it. Enjoy this experimenting and enjoy the challenge of seeing what you can come up with using only those notes of the pentatonic major scale and only in the first position. All right? Then, when you're ready to continue, press play and we'll keep going. All right, here we have the second position of the pentatonic major scale, the amended position or the amended form. And this is where you start tapping roots 2 or 3 times to keep yourself centered in the pentatonic major scale in the key of A. You want to know that you're playing in A. So when you're just doing the scale alone without any accompaniment, tap the roots 2 times. This clearly helps you keep centered in A, playing the pentatonic major scale. Now you'll notice we have the D chord, the D form of the A major here. And here's your root, right? So this is the corresponding caged form to the second position of the pentatonic major scale. So the fixed order, as the first position of the scale goes with the E form, so the second position of the scale goes with the D form. And on the right, you can see how the overlap fits too, right? And these notes of the A chord are right on top of notes of this position of the scale. So they're part of the scale. Now, get your backing track going again and experiment. Play through it. Arpeggiate. Jump around. Right? I can keep going, and that's the whole idea. Experiment, have fun with it, arpeggiate the chord, and just do whatever comes to you, but stay fixed only on these notes that are in the second position of the pentatonic major scale. No other notes. That's the limitation. Okay? So pause the video here. Take a little time and play around with this. Recognize that you're in the D form of the CAGED system and the second position of the pentatonic major scale. Get that very clear in your thinking. Then, when you played with this for a few minutes, press play and we'll move on. Here is the third position of the pentatonic major scale, the joined position. Now you want to tap your roots again. I know I keep reiterating this, but it's very important that you stay very clearly in the key of A and playing only the pentatonic major scale. Like I said, if you're relatively young in playing this scale, this is important stuff to remember to do to help keep you centered in that scale specifically, right? Oops. See, that way I know it's in A, right? Because I can play an A chord and go, oh yeah, that was very compatible with A. Speaking of which, here is the C form of the A chord. So we know the corresponding scale position to the C form of the CAGED system is the third position of the pentatonic major scale, the joined form. Now you'll notice on the right-hand side of the diagram, we have the overlay of the C chord, or the A chord, the C form. And again, you'll notice it is covering only notes of the scale. There's nothing outside the notes of the scale being played to make the C form of the A major chord happen. All right? So kind of focus on that for a moment. Now, let's bring in your backing track and the exercise of playing around with it and experimenting. Again, you're playing only the third position, nothing else. You can jump around, arpeggiate the chord, do what you want, right? And here we go. Stuff like that. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy experimenting with this. Really limiting yourself to just this position and only the notes of the scale. Spend a few minutes doing this. Pause the video and take the time to explore this position. Lots of stuff going on here that you can play around with. All right? Then, when you're ready to continue, press play and we'll keep going. I just want to take a moment to encourage you to do the exercises that I'm outlining here. While it's still fresh, play with these ideas. This is how you get stuff to stick. This is how you begin the process of internalization, of assimilation. When you assimilate information, you start to actually use it and apply it because it becomes a part of what you do naturally and normally. And that's the whole idea of learning new material, isn't it? To bring it in and use it as a normal course of your playing abilities and style. You integrate it into what you do normally. And so it becomes a part of what you normally do, right? Okay, so don't pass this over. Don't gloss it over. It won't stick. Pause while it's fresh. Play around with it while it's fresh. Then, when you're ready to move forward, you press play and go. All right? Let's keep going. Here we have the fourth position of the pentatonic major scale, the ordered position. Again, we encourage you double tap your roots so that you stay inside the pentatonic major scale in the key of A. Pretty straightforward stuff, right? So play that up and down a little bit if you're not comfortable with it and get used to it. Now, in the middle position of the diagram, you see the A form of the A major. And so we could say the corresponding scale position to the caged form, A form, is the pentatonic major scale in the fourth position, the ordered position. All right? So you want to keep that clear in your head too. Fourth position of pentatonic major corresponds to the A form of the CAGED system. Now on the right-hand side of the diagram, you see the overlay of the A chord and the scale. So it's pretty clear that the A chord sits using no other notes. You can almost see it in the original diagram on the left. You can see the A chord now that you know what it looks like, right? So it's pretty obvious. So there you go. Now, you know what comes next? The fun stuff. Set up your backing track and go to town, skipping around, arpeggiating, whatever you feel like doing, just stay in the fourth position only. Again, just have fun with it, play around with it, see what you can come up with. And that's the whole point of doing these exercises, is to help you get more comfortable. If you're not real familiar with this, to get more comfortable playing in this position so that you understand it better. And then corresponding it to the A form of the CAGED system so that you understand how that works. Okay? So pause the video and take some time. And don't be in a hurry to restart the video. Just press play when you're ready to move forward. All right? So when you are ready, press play and we'll keep going. All right? The fifth and final position of the pentatonic major scale right here, the reserve form. Again, when you're playing through this unaccompanied, double tap your roots. Now you got 3 roots, which is pretty cool. And that really gives you some possibilities when you're playing through this. Now in the middle position of the diagram, you see the A major in the G form. Well, we're just going to play this version of it because getting the little finger over there is a little bit of a weird thing to do. You can also play this one, and that works too. The point being, the G form is very clearly, as demonstrated in the right-hand part of the diagram, all part of this fifth position of the scale. So we can clearly see that the G form of the CAGED system overlays and is corresponding to the fifth position of the pentatonic major scale, the reserve form. Okay? Pretty cool stuff. Now, hit your looper and play around. Again, this position is very popular when people are playing in a major key because there's a lot you can do here that I'm not doing here because I'm purposely avoiding doing other ornaments like bends, right? I'm even trying to avoid mostly doing pull-offs and hammer-ons. I want to play everything so that I'm really getting comfortable picking this, and that's what I encourage you to do as well. Okay? So pause the video, play through this, get the chord clear in your head, the G form of the A major chord, corresponding with the fifth position of the pentatonic major, the reserved position, and how it overlays that scale position. And then experiment, jump around, have fun with it, and do whatever feels good, right? As long as you're staying within the fifth position of the scale and adding no notes. No extra notes here. That's the challenge, okay? Then when you're ready to continue, restart the video and we'll keep going. All right, now we get to the deeper challenge here and the deeper exercise. What I want you to do is at a nice, easy tempo, I want you to play the E form of an A chord for 2 measures. And then I want you to play the A form of a D chord for 2 measures. Back to the E form of the A chord for 2 measures. And then the C form of the E chord for 2 measures. That's the progression. 2, 2, 2, 2. And a nice easy tempo. We're not trying to impress anybody here. We're doing this to help you learn and grow to be able to use this stuff, okay? So I've recorded it already, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to play for a couple of minutes in one position, second position, third position, fourth position, and fifth position for a couple of minutes each. What I'm going to do by way of demonstration is one pass through each of the 5 positions to give you the idea of what I want you to do. Ready? 2, 3, 4. And that's the whole idea right there in a nutshell. But I want you to spend a little more than one pass of the progression. 2, 3, 4 passes of the progression, then move to the second position after playing the first, and then move to the third position. Again, 4 passes, 2 minutes in each position. Get really comfortable with each position and what the potentials are, and experiment, jump around, find new things. And if you're not a really great player in the soloing side, use this opportunity to really dig into understanding the potentials of each of the 5 positions of the scale. Okay? And remember how this relates to the CAGED system. You saw how I did a little bit of arpeggiating with each of the forms, and that's the idea, right? So that's the other thing you want to bear in mind. Take advantage of the forms that exist, the caged forms at each position, and arpeggiate them a little bit. All right? Okay, so pause the video. Take 10-15 minutes to do this before you continue, right? Then when you are ready, restart the video and we'll wrap it up. All right, there you have it. The 5 positions of the pentatonic major scale as they relate to each of the 5 forms of the CAGED system. Now, I encourage you, go through these exercises that were laid out here throughout this lesson and really make sure you understand it, particularly if you're not real comfortable with the pentatonic major scale and you're not real comfortable with the CAGED system either, right? We're giving you 2 things that are a little uncomfortable, but now's the time to really start to embrace this because it's going to help you learn the scale and it's going to help you learn the CAGED system as well because they work together hand in hand. Okay? Each position of the scale has a corresponding form from the CAGED system, and that's the whole idea here. So we also just got done showing you a progression, the A, D, and E progression using CAGED chord forms as part of the rhythm exercise to play out and use that, and then play over that in each of the 5 positions of the pentatonic major scale and arpeggiate the corresponding chord form from the CAGED system as well. This further creates that relationship between the two, and you really want to exploit that and get it down. The more you play this, the more you begin to internalize it and assimilate it, and then it'll start to show up in your normal playing habits. And that's where you want this to go. You want it to show up in your normal daily routine of how you approach things. That's when you know you're beginning to fully comprehend and understand it. And that's a good thing. I love when that happens. All right, again, don't be in a rush to get to the next lesson. It will be there. I always tell you that. It always is, right? And I'll be there too. Until then, take your time, get it down, and then move forward. And we'll see you then. Hey, thanks for watching. If you press the little red button down there in the corner, you'll be subscribed to Outsmart Your Guitar. If you then hit the notification bell, you'll be informed when we upload new material, which is usually around once a week. Below the video in the description, you will see a link that will take you to where you can download a PDF of the lesson material that accompanies this video. All lessons contain a link to give you access to the written material for that lesson. Below that, you will see a link to Patreon Outsmart Your Guitar, where I have a lot of material that isn't included here. So you may want to check that out. There's 2 levels of subscription. I'd really appreciate if you would become a patron by subscribing at one of the 2 levels and help support my efforts to continue to provide high quality lesson material for you to help you learn, play, and grow to become the guitar player you desire to be. All right. Thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And hey, we'll see you soon.